we've been face to face. If I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, if it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
Welcome back to the Skinema podcast. This is episode 26, where today we're reviewing Michael Mann's Heat. This is a film me and Jathan have both seen previous to reviewing this. We both rewatched it for the podcast, obviously, but before we get into our film review of this week, Jathan, what's been going on movie-wise, and just, last couple weeks of school for you as well?
Yeah, like you said, last couple weeks of school. By the time this episode goes up, I'll be entering my final week of finals as well as my internship. So times are changing. As far as life, it's just been school, and going to the movies with the entourage. So we'll get into that in a second. But what about you, Nick? What's going on?
Same old. Definitely last week was really busy for me, work-wise, and just a bunch of stuff. And then, I don't know, this weekend I got really overwhelmed just because, I like to stay busy and stuff like that, but this summer is going to be a little crazy for me. It's definitely going to be probably the busiest time of my life, up until this point in my life for sure. Just a lot of stuff going on. But once the summer ends, my internship will end unless I get a return offer or whatever. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but and then my marathon is going to be at the end of the summer too. So once those two things are done, it'll be a fun fall. I'm going on vacation a bunch in the fall. I already booked a bunch of vacations. The fall film festival will be in there. You'll be back home, so I'm sure we can do that together. So, I just got to get through these next 4 months, which are going to be very busy. I'll be very tired, I'm sure, but, it'll be a good challenge for me for sure, because I feel like I've definitely gotten a little comfortable this past year, so I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Silence of the Lambs, that was a big one that I had not seen. I'm going to be honest, I think this is a really great movie, don't get me wrong. Obviously one of the most critically acclaimed movies ever, and for good reason. You see all sorts of techniques used to demonstrate this paranoia. One we learned in film school was the cross-cutting between Buffalo Bill and the police, closing in on this guy's house. But I'm going to be honest, I think I like Manhunter more. I think that was more compelling to me. I don't know why, but I just really was drawn into the storytelling of Manhunter, whereas Silence of the Lambs, I think when you watch something so revered, it kind of loses its luster and wonder on you, because I've seen all the movies that have parodied or paid homage to this film, and that's good and all, but I don't know, I just felt more connected to Manhunter in a way.
Yeah, I like Manhunter more as well. But Silence of the Lambs is great. I think we both give the same rating for both of the films, 5 for Manhunter, 4.5 for Silence of the Lambs. I haven't watched it in quite some time, but it's great. Anthony Hopkins, he's not even in the movie that much, but he obviously very effective.
So I finally watched Mickey 17. Somehow I missed it. I actually had an opportunity to see it early in San Diego, but the showing was so packed that they stopped letting people in. But I finally got around to it after last episode, because I was embarrassed that I had not seen this portrayal from Robert Pattinson yet. And I had a really good time. It's really a fun movie. You can't take that away from it. But I do agree with a lot of people that there's just a lot of themes here, and that maybe one or two of them are fully fleshed out. Maybe the romances didn't hit with people. I forget Mickey's girlfriend's name, but I saw a lot of people not really like that character in particular. But I think it's definitely playing at a lot of politics. It's just a little too on the nose for me. Like the Trump stuff was very in your face and just like, I don't know, it just didn't lead you to wonder as much as I wanted, but I really enjoyed the acting. That was definitely probably the greatest strength next to the pacing and the world building.
Yeah, I got to see this a couple times in IMAX when it came out last year. I think it's unfortunate just the time it came out. It kind of just got thrown. I'm pretty sure I want to say like the first week of March, which is not a super busy time in the year for films. But I think it's great. I think I give it a 4. Yeah, I've seen it twice. Given it a 4. I think Pattinson's really good, really funny. I think the supporting cast is stunning across the board. Like Naomi Aki, I think she's great. Stephen Yeun's pretty good. He's not in it too much, but I really like Stephen Yeun. Mark Ruffalo I thought was really good. Toni Collette's really good. Um, I haven't been itching to go back to it, but I think it's a really good movie, and I think it's one of Pattinson's better performances as well. Really good stuff.
Hmm. I think when you come off a movie as big as Parasite, you're always going to let people down, but not a bad
Yeah.
showing from Bong. Next, let's do Over Your Dead Body because I feel like we haven't talked about this, but it's relatively new. Um, if you're not aware, it's a dark comedy with Jason Segel and let me get this name right.
Samara Weaving.
Samara Weaving, and it's interesting. It's kind of Hitchcockian in the sense that there's a twist on murder here, and getting revenge over your lover. And I won't go too much into spoilers here, but I'll just say I think this movie definitely made me realize that gore isn't really that like I don't know. It's not done very tastefully here, in my opinion, and that really detracted from my enjoyment. I think I think it definitely pushed for that rated R rating when it didn't necessarily have to. You could have cut some scenes down or just not be nearly as graphic, but it was pretty funny. It was funnier than I was expecting it was going to be, but it just wasn't my cup of tea, as Spike Lee would say.
You mean like distasteful and they kind of overuse the gore, like just for the sake of using it?
By the third act, you're kind of like wondering how these people are still alive, and the impact of the gore just doesn't hit the same as when it first appears on screen. And yeah, you just that third act really dragged out for me too. It's a really long third act because I'm just wondering like when are these guys gonna fucking die? Like these guys go
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah, I think the third act was too stretched out. And my biggest, I saw this film as well. I think we saw it the same night. Obviously not together, but um, I think you gave it a 2.5. I gave it a 3. And my biggest complaint was all the flashback stuff. I really didn't like when they just kept doing like 3 days later, 2 days later, a day later, and they did it with like each character a couple times. I was just getting really sick of it because you were kind of just seeing the same um, story beats over and over and over. But overall, I had a good time. My theater was not packed, but it was a good amount, and a lot of people were like really laughing. So it was an enjoyable theater experience. But I'm sure in the next couple weeks I'll probably not really think about this film again. But I had a good time.
I'd say in terms of indie films that I've seen in movie theaters, this is definitely like more toward the top of my personal rating and how I feel about the film. Because the next movie that I'm going to talk about, which is also independent, I did not really care for that much, and that was Bus Boys. And I'm going to be honest, the only reason I saw this movie was because Theo Vaughn was in it. Like that was the only reason. And I'm not even that big of a fan of Theo Vaughn, but he's just like, I guess, too much of a personality for me to ignore. But this was just pure like chicken scratch as a movie. Like it doesn't feel like a movie. There's maybe like one or two jokes here that got a genuine laugh out of me. Everything else was like pretty sarcastic and just laughing at the sheer absurdity and stupidity of this movie. So if you need something to watch while you're stoned or hammered, I definitely put this on the list.
Yeah, I was gonna see this film or a different one that I'll get to when I start talking about mine, and I picked the other one because how low your review was for it. Um, when this comes out on streaming or whatever, I definitely want to check it out because I think Theo Vaughn is very funny. I think David Spade in some comedy movies he's done is pretty funny, and I know there's a couple comedians sprinkled throughout this movie as well that I kind of want to see on the big screen. But yeah, I wasn't clamoring to watch this film this past weekend because this past weekend I watched a lot of stuff, so I was fine with skipping that one.
Hmm. I did go out and buy a 4K copy of this film for this review. I won't show it on camera because it's in the other room, but I did buy two other Blu-rays, which were Doctor No from the James Bond series, and I
Oh,
bought
nice,
Fistful of Dollars from
nice,
Reanimated
nice.
Records in La Mesa, both for $5, and they kind of do more cult and horror themed stuff, but it's a pretty cool shop if you're in the area.
Yeah, Doctor No is my favorite Sean Connery Bond film, and it's the first one too, so that's a good one to start with. And then I just rewatched A Fistful of Dollars a couple weeks ago when I did my westerns, and I love that movie. That A Fistful of Dollars for me, honestly, on another rewatch, it might jump the good, the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I love both of them, but A Fistful of Dollars is like I think one of the best westerns ever. Really underrated. Well, not underrated, but everybody talks about the good, the bad, the ugly, and I feel like they miss A Fistful of Dollars.
Hmm. I know how big of a fan you are of Bond, and I think that franchise is
Yeah,
something I can see myself watching more than, say, a Harry Potter, but I would definitely tip the cap toward you for Doctor No.
yeah. It's that one. I think that one by far is for the Sean Connery films. I feel like it's really the most cohesive, and I mean, I'm sure eventually you'll start to watch more Bond films, but I personally like when James Bond is like on tropical islands or whatever, which Doctor No, he definitely is. So I like that. Um, my watches. Uh, I won't go over exactly the films that we both saw in theaters that we already mentioned because I kind of already touched on those. Let's see any new ones. Well, you saw Exit 8 too. I kind of want to talk about Exit 8. Exit 8. I really liked it.
Hmm.
I saw your rating was pretty low. Do you want to kind of give your piece first because I was a little bit higher on it?
Yeah, I think maybe my excitement for the backrooms is just so high, but this is obviously
Mm-hmm.
pretty similar concept, and I just think they could have definitely went deeper with the material here. I didn't think it was particularly scary. There's maybe one scene that I feel like they really wanted you to get scared by, but it just did not land with me. And I like the acting. I think the story of fatherhood, while not completely developed, I think it's interesting enough to, make me not feel like I just had wet cereal for a movie, but I enjoyed my time for what it was, and it wasn't overwhelmingly long, so I gave it a 2.5.
Yeah, I really, I really liked it. Did you know about the game beforehand or no? Because I know obviously you're more familiar with the gaming world way more than me.
I heard of the movie, and I knew it was an adaptation of a game, but I had not played
Mhm.
or seen any footage of the game.
Yeah, since watching it, I have done a little research on the game. It only came out 3 years ago, and the game is identical to the film. Like it looks the exact same. You have to do the same thing. You have to complete 8 levels, like same exact premise. So I'm sure people that like the game are gonna really like this movie if they haven't seen it already. But I thought it was good. I thought it was really effective. I wasn't like scared, like I guess like a Pennywise scared when I was a kid watching that movie, but I was definitely creeped out the whole time. There's a great tension. I thought the score was phenomenal. I think the themes of like fatherhood and abortion in this film are like they hit you over the head with it, like it's clear as day. But I think they navigated it pretty well with the 90-minute runtime. And I was super locked in too. Like I felt like I was playing the game and I was trying to recognize the patterns. So I really liked it. There was a good amount of people at my theater too for this, which I was shocked because I went on like I think I went like Saturday at like noon at the Alamo in Boston, and it was seemed like people were enjoying it. So I had a good time with it.
Mine was fairly packed too, and yeah, I think people were interested and entertained by it. But I don't know if it's something that people would necessarily come back to. Not dogging on the movie, but
Hmm.
I'm just wondering what's the rewatchability in it, especially since the whole premise is so repetitive.
Yeah, I can't say that's a film I'll be rewatching, but I certainly liked it. Then I watched Bad Times at El Royale. This is a film with a bunch of actors. You have Jeff Bridges, Cynthia Erivo, Chris Hemsworth, Lewis Pullman, Dakota Johnson, Kaylee Spaney, a lot of people, and John Hamm. This film is kind of, in a way, like the Knives Out movies, in a little bit. Like there's a big cast, and you're trying to figure out like this one isn't like who did a murder. It's more so like who, what are people's motives in kind of the premise of the film. And it takes place in the 60s, which I didn't know. I thought it was like contemporary, which was nice because it takes place in 1969, which kind of how we talked about on the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood episode. This was very much like the psychedelic era, the Charles Manson family, and a lot of those themes are showcased in this film, particularly with Chris Hemsworth's character. And I think this was really fun. I think I definitely want to rewatch it someday because I think it will go up in my rating. But I think this is a film you would like because it definitely has a similar structure to like the Knives Out mystery movies. Yeah. Let's see what else we got. I guess I'll talk about this because we're going to be talking about Michael Mann in a little bit. The Last of the Mohicans, Michael Mann. I think this was like one of his last films I have to watch. I know I still have to watch Black Hat and Ali, but The Last of the Mohicans, starring Daniel Day Lewis. This is a really good film. I think it takes place during the French and Indian War. You have Daniel Day Lewis character, who's obviously, he's a white guy, like probably from England or whatever, but he gets adopted into this Mohican tribe, and him, his adopted father, and adopted brother are the last of the Mohicans. Literally, the title of the movie, and the war themes and the I guess Native American themes in it are stuff you've seen before. But what I really liked about the film is how good the relationships are, like between Daniel Day Lewis and his brother and his dad, or adopted dad and brother, and then the relationships Daniel Day Lewis forms with the love of his life in this movie. I thought it was really solid, really emotional, um, really good. I don't. That's the wrong word. They picked really good locations to film this film. Like it felt very real. It felt lived in. And it's very different from Michael Mann's films because no, like he is kind of the crime thriller guy, and this film is couldn't be further from that. But I really liked it. It was a good movie.
How many of his films do you have left out of curiosity, Michael Mann?
Well, for big ones, it's only Ali and Black Hat. Oh, Public Enemies as well. But like The Keep, which was an early film, I think L.A. Takedown. But yeah, I've seen most of them. I have most of them too in my collection.
I'd love to do director
Uh,
spotlight on him.
yeah. Let's see what else we get. Go to another in theater. Lee Cronin's The Mummy, probably the biggest new release of the week. I mean, this was all right. It the mummy aspect of it is not explored enough in this. It's pretty much just like an Evil Dead movie, a big possession movie, kind of like The Exorcist and all that type of stuff. It's all right. The family dynamics in it um, started to get really exhausting towards the end of the film, and I the more the film went on, the less and less I cared about them. I think the biggest part of the film I did like was the actual detective mummy work that they did in the film. There's kind of two storylines going on at the same time, but they put more of an emphasis on the family stuff, which got really tiresome and pretty boring for me, honestly. I gave it a three. I still certainly liked it. I saw it in IMAX. The sound design was great, like really creepy. Just like it makes your body just have goosebumps. So they did a good job in that aspect of it. But it's not a film I'm probably going to be thinking about much more after this.
Yeah, I've been trying to get my friends to see it, but they seem pretty checked out of it. But I do want to see what this is about because I feel like The Mummy is a story that's told by a lot of people, and I don't know much about Lee Cronin, but for your movie's title to be Lee Cronin's The Mummy, I do expect like some artistic like leeway in the sense that it's his vision and it's kind of like an example of his filmography, if that makes sense.
It definitely fit that. I think he kind of explained why it was titled Lee Cronin's The Mummy. It's really just titled that because there's already three movies called The Mummy, so he kind of just didn't want to add to that. But yeah, I actually just watched his Evil Dead movie the other day, which I gave a three as well. This movie is very similar to The Mummy, so his directing taste and flavor is definitely shown in both films a lot. See what else we got that's noteworthy. I think, all right, I'll talk about two more things. Well, three. Sinners just turned 1 year old the other day, so I rewatched it, of course. I love that movie. We don't have to get into crazy detail, but I love it. This was the film that I chose to watch instead of the Theo Von film, which I'm very happy I did. It's called The Christophers, Steven Soderbergh, who has kind of been in the news for all the wrong reasons recently, because I'm pretty sure in his next film he's heavily incorporating AI. We're gonna start seeing more of that. I think personally for me, it's gonna be a case by case thing. I think obviously if it's AI to maybe enhance or help the movie, I think that's something that's just gonna be inevitable. But obviously AI in the sense of like replacing actors or like replacing stuff like that, I'm not really on board with that, if I'm being honest. So I don't think he's going down that lane, but he's kind of, I don't know how well this movie's going to do because I know people are pretty upset with him, but this film was really good. It's about a painter who's pretty much retired, very famous painter. He has a lot of expensive artwork that he just chooses not to sell, but his kids are trying to get it from him, and his, I guess, like museums around him and big collection people are trying to, kind of get him out of retirement to finish these paintings and obviously sell them off. And he comes across this girl. Her character name in the film is Laurie. Obviously, if you're watching the video version, you can see E. McKellen in the character Laurie right here. She's also a painter that's very good, and she kind of, without getting into too much spoilers, she kind of is trying to help his children get the paintings from him, but they developed this really good relationship. And as I've mentioned a million times, I really like acting. Acting is probably it might be my favorite aspect of films. Ian McKellen in here is phenomenal. I mean, I've only really seen him in like the Lord of the Rings, X-Men, that type of stuff, because he doesn't really do a lot of dramatic films. He did a lot of plays in his life. That's where I feel like he did more of the dramatic stuff. And then for films, obviously he kind of went for like the big paychecks, but this film is really good. Steven Soderbergh, he pumps out a lot of movies. Last year he had two films that I enjoyed, and then this year he has this film, and he actually might have another one later this year as well. But I'm happy I chose this over the Theo Von movie, if I'm being honest with you. And then yeah, I'm happy I did. And then just one battle. I'm not going to go into super great depth. Obviously, we've done a whole video about it. We've done like side videos about, yeah, and then we did like our Oscars and end of movie wrap up video. So we've talked about this film a bunch, but I watched it with my dad the other night. he knew about it. Like, he knew it won Best Picture, and he knew like what the premise was. He was certainly laughing a lot at it, particularly at Leo's character. But we didn't really talk about it after, because right after we finished watching it, we actually ate dinner because we were both starving, and then we started watching The Mandalorian. So we didn't really get to talk about it. So I don't know too much of his thoughts of how much he liked it. But this was my sixth watch of it, and this film is it's great. I will say though, I think I also recently watched There Will Be Blood a couple months ago, and I've kind of been going back and forth of which one I have higher, and I think I still have There Will Be Blood a smidge higher, even though I've seen this film way more. I think just There Will Be Blood is like perfect in every single sense of the word. But obviously, I still love this film. So yeah,
That's a movie that has been on my radar for so long, and I tried to watch it the other day, and it wasn't the right timing for it, so I had to put it down. But I think either this summer or whenever school is over, I think that is definitely going to be the window for that watch.
yeah, that should be the next film we watch at my house, because I definitely want to do an episode on
I'm
that.
willing to
That's a film
wait.
I've been wanting to. Yeah, I definitely want to do an episode on that. But yeah, that's all I got for my movie watching. I think I don't have any movie news particularly, other than I do have the Boston Film Festival coming up this Friday. It's my first day out of 4 days I'm going. I'm seeing two films on Friday. Very excited for it. I'm going to be dropping a video on my TikTok explaining each film I'm seeing. So if you're interested in seeing that, head over to my TikTok channel. And then actually, the day of recording this, tomorrow night, I'm seeing Michael in IMAX. A couple days early, just like an early screening AMC's having. I don't know if you've been reading reviews or seeing reactions from people on TikTok, but it's been pretty disappointing. I did say to you a couple weeks ago that I have been cautious about this film, because I think musical biopics are just the hardest genre to kind of do, and I'm a massive Michael Jackson fan. Like, I listen to his music constantly. I already know his story pretty well. Like, I've read about him. I've watched a lot of documentaries. I went to the Michael Jackson Broadway show a couple years ago, and that's like a whole. It does like his whole life. So, I mean, I'm gonna form my own opinion when I watch it tomorrow night. But I'm definitely not gonna be like super I don't know, expecting greatness out of this film. I'm sure it will make me very entertained, because obviously he's Jafar Jackson is going to be performing a lot of the songs, and his music is some of my favorite music. But as a film, I'm worried about it.
You know, I just got off Instagram right before we got on the podcast, and I saw 5 stars and I saw 1 stars, and I saw the Rotten Tomatoes was at a 27% from the critics. And while they are not always correct, they are an indicator that the movie is not going to be objectively great if it's at a 27. So it does make me wonder where the film is headed, especially since it's only covering half of his career. And just, I'm wondering where they go with the general politics about Michael Jackson, because as everyone knows, he was one of probably the most famous person on the planet, and then he just had a swarm of allegations, accusations, and to be quite honest, defamation against him and his character. So I'm genuinely curious about that. And as for my enjoyment of the movie, I can't say just yet, but it's not really going to deter me just yet.
Yeah, and to my understanding, because a lot of people have been saying, "Is this part one? Are we getting part two next year?" I think they obviously filmed a shit ton of scenes, and they probably have hours upon hours of material. I think if this film does good, and it's obviously it needs to be box office good, but I think if it gets critically acclaimed as well, I think we will maybe see the part two, which I think, from what I understand, will be more of his later life. I think this film is going to end at a very particular point, but I think it will wrap up his story nicely if this is the only film that ever gets released. So I don't know. By the end of this weekend, we'll see how the numbers are looking, and first week numbers are a pretty good indicator of how a film's going to perform. So I'll be interested to see. I mean, I'm happy it's coming out. This film has been delayed for the past like almost 2 years, so I'm glad it's finally here. But you know, Michael Jackson being probably my favorite musical artist of all time, I'm not letting myself get too um, crazy in the head, excited about it. I'm just trying to keep my expectations in the middle right now. But I am happy to see it tomorrow night.
I did want to wait for Friday just because of everything going on with school, but I'm gonna make sure to delete
Hmm.
all socials so I don't get spoiled. But right before we,
Well, I mean, you're not gonna get spoiled. I mean, Michael Jackson's life, but I know what you mean.
okay, right before we move on to the next segment and just the film review today, we wanted to go over a couple comments and just kind of react to what people are saying on the channel. And these three are from the TikTok page that we have. So the first one comes from D Hunnits, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this was on our video of Damien Chazelle. And he says that Whiplash might be a number one directorial debut of all time, then slid back for round two with La La Land. What do you think about that take?
Uh, I think he's definitely right. I would say Damien Chazelle is easily in the top three for directing debuts. But I'm trying to pull up on my phone right now some other ones, to just like kind of compare and contrast, because um, I don't want to say it's the best right off the bat, but if it has to be up there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really think of too much.
Trying to think of one that comes to mind because I can't say Kubrick
Yeah,
because his was Spartacus technically, and while that is considered a good film, it's not considered on the same pedigree as say a 2001 or The Shining. So
yeah. Spartacus is the last film I have to watch from him too. I have some pulled up right now. We have Citizen Kane from Orson Welles. We have Eraserhead from David Lynch. I haven't seen Citizen Kane yet, so I can't really comment on that.
I wouldn't agree with
Um,
that. I would put Whiplash over it.
mhm. We have Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino. I give those films both the same rating, so it would be hard to tell. 12 Angry Men. Yeah, that's a all timer. Um, I don't know. There's not much here that I think would even be in competition with it, in my opinion, honestly. Yeah, so I
I
mean,
don't hate
I might
that
agree with
take,
that
I
comment.
guess, when we think
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, I think I agree with him. This list is on IMDb, so I don't know if they're really including everything, but yeah, I think I agree with them. Whoever
Mm-hmm.
commented that, I think I agree with you.
And our next comment comes from the episode on Cure, and this is from FJ. He says, I don't like when it's called a horror. It seems to me that it's just a thriller when talking about the more psychological elements of Cure.
Hmm.
What do you think about that, Nick? Do you think that calling something a horror is kind of stripping like other qualities out of a movie rather than just calling it a thriller?
I think for the sake of this movie, yeah, but I don't know, because I mean, you would label The Shining as a horror, but obviously that's like there's a lot of psychological elements in that, but I think you would label that film a horror film. I I personally have Cure as a psychological thriller. I wouldn't label it as horror as the top genre, but I guess I get what he's meaning because I feel like if you just label it as a horror film, you could just be kind of bypassing what it like truly is. So yeah, I see where he's coming from.
Hmm. And our last comment comes from Mike when we were talking about Avengers Doomsday or Dune Part 3.
Hmm.
Mike says, I don't think Dune Part 3 will top Part 2, but if it's even close, this is the greatest trilogy of all time.
Well, you say first. I want to hear what you say first before I give my opinion.
I'm going to say no, and that's not a detriment toward Dune, but I've seen Back to the Future. That immediately is what comes to mind when I think of a perfect trilogy. I've seen Toy Story, even though there's 4 and 5, but we don't. I guess
Yeah,
we
but
don't really count
that
that
was what I
over
was gonna
here.
ask you. That's what I was gonna ask you. Are we going pure one, two, three films, or films that were originally a trilogy that maybe now are more than that? Because
For the sake
I
of
think that would
argument,
switch my
I
answer.
think we should do 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so you can't count Toy Story.
I would put Star Wars over it, the first trilogy. Not.
Well, are you? That's another thing. Are you gonna count that now? Because now it's
I
obviously
think
more.
Star Wars
There's
is
more to the
different.
story.
Like we can. There's different visions. It was made decades apart, and for the new trilogy, it's by two different directors. So I think the
Hmm.
first trilogy by George Lucas would definitely still be better than Dune, especially if you just look at the impact. I mean, it's not comparable, but I would not have this as my GOAT trilogy. Would it be up there in terms of the action genre? Absolutely. But in terms of all of film, I don't agree.
I would have to look more into it, but I think if this film is a 5 out of 5 for me, I don't think I have another pure trilogy at 5 out of 5. I don't even have the Dark Knight trilogy all fives out of fives. So I think just based off the rating, it would have to be. The big comparison is Lord of the Rings or the Dune trilogy. I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy. I think well, obviously the movies are great. I like them, but Dune to me is like far superior. I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy, so it's not really fair for me to put input on that. But I do think Dune Part 3 is going to live up to Dune Part 2. I think people are really you can't get too caught up in like how good the previous film was because I'm trying to make a comparison, but it might fail to make the point across. But like I think Infinity War is better than Endgame. But when Endgame was coming out and the hype around Endgame, people were ready to say that this is going to be the best Marvel thing ever. 7 years down the line, I think most people would agree that Infinity War is better than Endgame, but you know what I mean? It's like I'm not really letting the early narrative around the film gonna sway my mind in any way because a lot of people I feel like a lot of people are saying like no way it's gonna top Dune Part 2.
In that case, I can say that the hype for Return of the Jedi was like through the roof because after Empire Strikes Back, like the bad guys win. That never happened before. So it's like we can do this argument all day, but in terms of modern day blockbusters, I mean, there really isn't that many trilogies being pumped out anymore. If we have franchises, it's a film that has already been done or it's a spin-off. One that comes to mind immediately is Hunger Games, but even that was split into part 1 and 2 for Mockingjay. So I just think that trilogies are definitely, I wouldn't say it's something lost to time, but I think it definitely had more of its impact in maybe the 80s to 90s and even the 70s, but hell, you could even say the Fistful of Dollars trilogy is better than that. And I can't because I haven't seen it, but I there's a lot of different avenues you can take it. I don't hate this take.
Yeah, and to be fair, to be honest, too, this is not really spoiling, because I don't even know the whole Dune Messiah, what happens, but this is not really a pure trilogy because the first book is the first two movies. They split it, and then Dune Messiah takes place like 17 years after the events of Dune Part 2. So it's like it's not really like a back-to-back trilogy like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars where they were just like the events following them. So it's a weird trilogy, but I think Dune Part 3 definitely has potential to be my favorite because I think we're going to get a very unleashed Timothy Chalamet villain role. I feel like he's not going to be, the Paul Atreides that we know and love. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is going to steal the show because I know how crazy her character is, and I just can't wait. Obviously, Robert Pattinson, the dude's a maniac, so he's going to be perfect for it. And I think there's going to be some really emotional stuff in this film too. So, I'm excited for both, and I think it's interesting too because the more I think about the Dune movies, I might have the first one over the second one. I would have to think about it
No
again.
way.
But yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I think Dune
Yes.
Part 1, I haven't seen Part 3, but I do think Dune Part 1.
It's not even out yet.
Yeah, but for my prediction of how it's going to unfold, I think Part 1 will be the weakest when we look back. I think when I watched that film, for me personally, and this is a problem with a lot of these films like Lord of the Rings, it's that usually the first movie, the half of that movie is just pure setup. We don't get to the invasion of Arrakis until maybe the hour-half mark of Part 1. But I think Part 2 is all gas from the start, and that's kind of what I love about it so much, and just its ability to keep you invested, and just on the pure spectacle of the film alone. I think it dominates Part 1 alone in that regard, and I think you could agree with me there, but it'll be interesting. I think this is good discourse, and if you guys want us to react to more takes in the future, we're definitely here for it.
I mean, I love Part 1. I'll never forget seeing that opening night, October 25th, 2021, I want to say, in IMAX. I didn't know what I was getting into, and beautiful. I love that movie. But yeah, I'm excited for it. But yeah, so obviously, I think that's all we get for everything before the film review. But I think, yeah, it's time to get into Michael Mann's Heat. And I kind of recommended that for this week. And I know you put it in your watch list, Jathan. Oh, wait, before I say that. Damien Chazelle, Whiplash is technically not his directorial debut. It's technically a 2009 film. So that's probably why Whiplash isn't on any of those lists.
Well, for the sake of argument.
No, I know. Yeah, I would still count Whiplash as his like first real film because this was like a really low budget student film, and I think it's only like 50-60 minutes long, so it's barely a feature. But I just wanted to mention that real quick because I don't want anybody coming at us in the comments for incorrectly doing it. But yeah, Heat, I kind of recommended it for this week because it was in your watch list, Jathan. I know you told me this before. You've put in some films in your watch list that you have already seen before, but it's just as a reminder. But I thought recommending it that you hadn't watched it before till I realized that this was a rewatch for you. But yeah, I think we're both at the same rating for it now. This was my fourth watch, your second watch, obviously. Michael Mann is a director we've obviously mentioned on the podcast before. We've talked about Manhunter a bunch. I think I've mentioned Collateral. I watched it a few weeks ago. Yeah, I really love his movies. I'm very new to his movies. I only got into them since having Letterboxd, which was only 3 years ago. But since discovering him and diving into his filmography, he's easily in my top 10 directors of all time. Like, very easy. I mean, he has a film in my top 10 films of all time, so I mean, that says a lot. So I love Heat. I, I guess maybe before we get into the nitty gritty of it, what is your kind of overall thoughts of Michael Mann? What is your thoughts about, rewatching this film? Obviously, you just said you got the 4K for it as well, so.
Al Pacino is one of my favorite actors, and just to have him go up against Robert De Niro of all people is just awesome to watch. Definitely a guy's film, but it's just what I love a lot about these action thrillers, and I particularly we're interested in the romantic subplots in this film more than on first watch, because I might have watched that movie the first time closer to midnight, which is honestly what I recommend doing, because I watched it around 6, but over in California, the sun doesn't set till 8, so it's I had this very dark and gritty movie on, but without being sidetracked, I love it. I love the cat and mouse game that is played here. I like that it detracts from other crime thrillers where a guy's after another guy, in the sense that they meet up, they respect each other, they respect what lengths they go to cover their work, etc. And it just screams what I love about film. I can't really put it to words, but it's this thriller that takes place, and you don't really know what's going to go down at these climaxes. You're allowed to root for whoever you want to root for. You can root for De Niro or Al Pacino like me, and it's just entertaining.
Yep. Yeah, well said. Yeah. I think a little fun fact before I guess get into some of the details. Obviously Al Pacino and De Niro have been kind of in the same path as actors. Their whole careers really getting booming and starting in the 70s, and they've obviously worked with the same directors a lot. They've obviously done similar style of films. They've done a wide range of stuff. They've only featured in 4 films together. The first film was The Godfather Part 2, but they didn't share any scenes, obviously, because De Niro's playing Vito Corleone, the younger version. Obviously, Pacino's playing Michael Corleone in present time, so they didn't get any scenes together. So they, like I said, they started their careers early in the 70s. This film came out in 1995, so almost 30 years into both of their careers is the first time that they ever were in the same scene together, which I think is crazy. But they're really good in this film, and even in this film, they don't have a ton of scenes together. They have very iconic ones. Most notably, the diner scene where they both have big monologues, big pieces, and you see how they interact with each other, which is one of my favorite scenes of all time, honestly. But I think it's just really interesting, and it's kind of like the quality over quantity thing, because I'm sure these guys probably got offered to do a million things together, but I think it's really refreshing that they only did 4 in their career, because the other 2 films they did, Righteous Kill, which I have seen actually, is pretty abysmal. I think it came out 2008. It's not a good film. That's like a buddy cop film between them two. And then The Irishman, that came out 2019. Martin Scorsese, which I actually think is an excellent film. So I think it's better that we've gotten quality over quantity between the two of them. I don't know if there's anything you want to mention before I get into some of the details, but yeah.
I just want to say that this movie, it's at 2 hours and 50 minutes. It feels like an event. It feels, like you said, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. When do you get that 1-2 punch otherwise in films? I think it definitely does not pull its punches in terms of the filmmaking action sequences. And even when it does slow down, the conversations are interesting enough for you to be invested in these characters, and the dialogue just exudes what type of people they are. You don't really leave the movie thinking what kind of person was Robert De Niro or what kind of person was Al Pacino. You perfectly understand them. You understand what they're after, and it results in a very entertaining climax and character decisions that make you either pissed off or just reaffirm your beliefs for who they were in your mind. So, just a great film.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess getting into some details, obviously this film is star-studded. Like it's just ridiculous how many people signed on to this, but it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, Michael Mann at this point in his career, he had done some really good interesting stuff. Like obviously he did Manhunter, which people really liked that film, but it wasn't like a box office hit. It wasn't a huge film. Thief was a really big film, really good film with James Caan, who people really enjoy
I'm a
that.
fan of that movie.
Oh yeah, that movie's great. I love it. I do have that one slightly above Heat. We don't have to get into rankings now, but I Thief is phenomenal. Um, but I feel like this film either maybe I should have looked this up. Either this was his biggest budget film at the time, or maybe a lot of these actors were willing to take pay cuts just to work with Michael Mann because obviously Pacino, De Niro, Val Kilmer, who obviously I think was this before Batman or after he did Batman? It must have been around the same time.
He came out in 1995.
Yeah, his Batman must have been like 94, 95, 96.
Yeah, same year.
Okay, yeah. So Val Kilmer was in the 90s. He was booming. Well, he did Top Gun in the 80s, pretty sure, but then he did Tombstone in 92, which was a massive film as well. John Voight, you have Ashley Judd. There's a lot of people in here. William Fichtner, Natalie Portman when she was in her child acting days. Tom Noonan, R.I.P., who plays Francis Dollarhide in Manhunter. You just have a lot of people. Danny Trejo has a nice little part in the film. Just so many people. I think I just want to start with, I guess, Al Pacino's character. Obviously, he is, and once again, I should know this fact. Is he the police captain of the LAPD, or is he just kind of?
He's a lieutenant.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot what his title was, but obviously he is kind of the focal point in this film for the police in terms of like responding to the crime scenes and really getting this, trying to build this case against Robert De Niro's character, who is Neil McCauley, who Neil McCauley was actually a real person who robbed banks and did a lot of this stuff. And his character is in a lot of ways very similar to De Niro's character. I know the guy that Al Pacino played, he has a different name in real life, and they switched a lot of his story up, probably just to make it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, so these are kind of based off real guys. But Al Pacino's character, Vincent Hanna, he, he seems like a man who's been in the police force for a very long time. Obviously, he is in a relationship in this film, and is he married to what is the character's name? Is he married to her or no? Justine, or are they just dating?
I think
they might
dating.
just be dating, right?
Because if you look at their conversations, we'll get into it, but
yeah, I think they're just dating. But obviously, he's dating her. Justine's daughter is Natalie Portman's character in the film, who we'll get into that a little bit too. But he's a man that maybe on the surface level seems like he really is, the classic family man. Has a good job, whatever. But he is in a lot of ways. I don't want to say a bad guy, but he is a very flawed individual. His work totally consumes him. His relationship is falling apart. He's not the most compassionate person. He doesn't really like to talk about his work at all. He doesn't really think about anything other than work. And the whole film, all he's doing is working, staying out late, interviewing people, trying to build his case. So he's a very obsessed man, and it mirrors De Niro's character, Neil McCauley, a lot too, because he's a very obsessed man. All he does is scheme in ways to, make more money, rob banks. He's constantly planning with his guys. His main guys, Val Kilmer's character, Chris. He pretty much is trying to obviously help him as a friend, but also trying to help his life, because Val Kilmer's character is a gambler. He has a failing marriage, so De Niro's trying to repair his life and just get him prepped for his team. And obviously, De Niro's character has to outsource a lot of other individuals, people who are expertise in the various number of things. He has to get drivers, he has to get good gunmen. Tom Noonan's character, who he meets with briefly in the film, Tom Noonan's character is pretty much like a computer guy in the early 90s, which in the early 90s, you know, obviously computers had been around for a while, but I guess quote unquote hackers or people that were like very innovative and that type of stuff was more rare back then than I guess you would get now. So he has to meet with like high level people, these underground people, and they have a lot of similar aspects. But I think, like you said, I think it's okay for you to root for either of these guys because they are rootable guys, but they are very flawed.
Mm-hmm. De Niro's an interesting character in this film because he's not like a typical De Niro character in the sense that he's kind of a hothead and he's smart, but he's not the smartest guy. I think he gets a little emotional at times, and once he's kind of made up his mind, he doesn't really go back on that. And I just love the scenes where Pacino is right on De Niro's case, and one in particular is when they go to the bank, and then you see that shot of De Niro staring at the camera, which is the X-ray, so you can't really like read his emotions, but you definitely know that he knows Pacino's right behind that wall, and it cuts right to him. So I love that scene. I don't love when he goes to assassinate. What was his name? Wayman? No, Wayne Girl.
Oh. Oh yeah.
But just that whole sequence, you see how cold and calculated he is. He almost like on a Bond level. He's just like sneaking through this hotel. He's making all the calls he needs to make. But these are, like we said, two guys who are cold, calculated, and while they might not be like the most ethical guys, like they just are very successful at what they're doing.
Yeah, I think. I guess we'll get into this part. This film opens up very action heavy. Obviously, this film I think has like 3 layers to it. Obviously, you get the action stuff. You have the character's personal life stuff, which I think is actually the most interesting in the film. And then I think you obviously kind of just get like the cops and robbers aspect. But this film opens up with a great shootout sequence. And I've watched a lot of action films like Jathan has. This film has clearly inspired millions of movies. Obviously, I mean, Christopher Nolan has mentioned it before how much inspiration he took from this film into The Dark Knight, just from a stylistic standpoint. And, you know, obviously that film is very similar to the cops and robbers thing, but Batman and Joker as well. I don't know if you heard of this film or ever saw it a couple of years ago, Wrath of Man. It's a Guy Ritchie movie starring Jason Statham.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, the opening sequence in that film is like kind of a 1-for-1 of Heat. Like they have the same kind of opening shootout sequence. But I think this film, you said it in your review, Jathan, kind of like they don't even make films like this anymore. This film is so real. Like it's just everything is real. All the gunshots are real. Obviously, they didn't use real live bullets. They used blanks, but all that audio was from the audio they recorded on the set when they really shot those. They were really in the streets of LA. They choreographed this thing for months. Everybody had extensive training. Like if you see how good Al Pacino and Robert De Niro's gun work in this is, it's like outstanding. I think it's like probably like them two and like Keanu Reeves for John Wick. Like it's like true. You can tell they put in a lot of time for this, and that's something that I really like about the movie.
Mm-hmm. And I wrote that review kind of joking, halfingly, because I've seen that type of joke made before, just in a general sense. Like, we don't have the technology to make this stuff today, but it's true. And it became really apparent to me when I was watching just how underexposed the entire movie is. I don't know if you knew this, Nick, but on the 4K copy, which I read online, is more entailed to man's vision of what he wanted the film to look when it was being shot. The film is incredibly dim. I had to close all the windows in my house and get rid of all of the lighting, but it's just so incredibly dim, and that's kind of Man's style when you watch his films. Just these, he really likes to work with these dark colors and these blues. And while I won't say like it stood out too much to me in the sense that it was bad filmmaking, I think he stuck to that style, and it's really hard to explain to someone who like doesn't know a lot about cameras and stuff, but just from doing my internship and stuff, you usually want to shoot your shots at an exposed level where your highlights are popping as well as your shadows, but everything in this movie is just kind of muted. So the shots look incredibly dull, but it's not to detract from the film, it's more just a stylistic point of view. And he walked that line very thinly, and that's a thin line you have to walk in just photography in general. So I thought that was interesting. I did think Thief was a better shot film, but this is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say Thief and Manhunter have a little bit more flair. I feel like Heat and Collateral feel a little bit more real. Um, it's funny you said how you had to like dim dim your room or dim your living room, whatever. Because last night when I was watching, I was like, is my TV setting low? Like, is is the brightness low? But yeah, it's definitely. I think it just adds to the realness and the grittiness of it.
And he
Um,
kind of breaks like the fourth wall a little bit on the last confrontation between De Niro and Al Pacino's character, because it's so dark that they both can't tell where each other are, and the only way they can, have a chance at shooting each other is when the airplanes are illuminating the field on the airport they're at. But yeah,
yeah,
it's really interesting why he decided to shoot it that way.
yeah. I didn't even think that. Yeah. Um, and then like I love performances. I think on this rewatch, I would say it goes Dog Day Afternoon, number one Pacino, and I think this is my second favorite. I just think it's tough. He has a lot of great ones. I think, I mean, if I had to pick one actor who's my favorite, I think I would go Pacino, but he's just so unleashed in this film, but also such like a caring man. Uh, um, I think it's really fun. I don't know if you've seen this interview. A couple of years ago, Christopher Nolan interviewed. I don't know if Michael Mann was on stage, but I know Pacino was, and I think De Niro was, and Al Pacino was like, I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if I've ever seen it before, but my character in Heat, Vincent, he was a guy that chipped cocaine a little bit. He's like, we didn't show it on screen, but he was like he did cocaine a little bit, and all the comments are like, yeah, Al, I think we got that. I think you were doing cocaine on set too while you were playing the character. But I think it's really funny just because his character has those scenes, and obviously he stays up very late at night too, which is like, I mean, an indicator of probably some type of substance abuse. But I think it's funny, like the scenes where he unleashes, where he's like, who, what are you, an owl? And he's like, she's got a great ass, and he starts screaming, and like all those scenes are great. But I think those are the quotes that get quoted the most in this film. But I really like the intimate moments he has, especially with Natalie Portman's character. Obviously, at the end of the film, the horrific event that she does in the hotel room where she cuts herself, and he brings her to the hospital, and obviously he's consolidating Justine. I mean, they seem like they're going to be broken up, that they're not going to be together anymore, but obviously he's still a man that is going to take care of both of them. But even earlier in the film, when he like picks her up from school, and he's like always asking her like how are you doing, like, oh, did you see your dad today, like all that type of stuff, I think is really interesting, because that seems like the only nugget of Vincent, the character, that does anything outside of his work. I feel like every other aspect of his life, it's work, work, work. But I feel like when it comes to Natalie Portman's character and taking care of a child, he does really good with that.
It was very subtle, and I appreciated it as well.
Yeah. And De Niro's kind of the same way. I feel like he's a very stubborn character, but once he meets the girl he meets, which what's her name? Addie. I blanking on all these names right now. Eddie. Yeah, I think. Once he meets her, I feel like he that's where he really starts to drop his guard. Obviously, he says like, if you can't walk out on anything in 2 minutes, like you shouldn't be involved with anybody. But I do think he starts to slip a little bit, and maybe that's why. Obviously, his operation gets very compromised. And obviously, it ends with his character's demise. But I think it's interesting because I feel like Pacino connecting to Natalie Portman's character a little bit helped him be a little bit more empathetic and maybe helped him solve this case a little bit better. And I feel like De Niro, likewise, getting involved with a relationship and expressing love a little bit more made him a little bit blind. So it kind of ruined his operation. I think it's, like I said, they're kind of on the same coin as characters, but yeah.
Hmm. I can't say that I was too shocked by what De Niro ends up doing in the end, but at the same time, it
Hmm.
did shock me because, that was his one way out, and he just couldn't fight that, you know, I guess an addiction to getting himself
Yeah.
involved because you think just when he commits as much crime and robberies as he's been doing, he would want a way out, but apparently not.
Yeah. I kind of forgot too that I don't know why it was always in my head that the reason he goes to the hotel is obviously to kill that guy, but I thought also he was going there to pick up some money. He's literally just goes there to kill him, just to prove his point. I'm like, dude, you had the biggest out of your life. He would have been fine, but you know his pride and all that kind of got stuck in his head. But I really like Val Kilmer's character as well, and his wife played by Ashley Judd, Charlene. I really like the scene where she is obviously doing like this sting operation with the cops, but she goes out on the balcony and sees them. And obviously they have a terrible relationship. They're not together and they both cheat on each other and stuff, but she tells him to get out of here and go. And he gets I guess in a way, a happy ending. He gets to escape from the cops, but also at what cost? He lost his family in doing this. So I think that's another interesting character that I feel like when people think about this film, they forget kind of Val Kilmer's inner struggle in the film too. But I really like that.
Yeah, I think this is a film that definitely stands the test of time. And in terms of action stuff, I've definitely put this up there with films like Die Hard. I think if you're a fan of that movie, you should definitely check this one out. Um, yeah, Michael Mann, top 10, I think he definitely has a case for me.
Yeah, he's for sure mine. I think just I rewatch his movies a ton, and there's still more I have to watch, obviously. But you know, he just makes films that I love that genre, and I love directors that obviously get great actors and get great performances out of them. Like I think, like I said, I think Pacino in this is arguably his best in his career. I really like De Niro in this. There's definitely a handful of performances I prefer to his character in this movie, but you're just if you're one of the best directors, you're gonna get the best people to work with you, and I think it's just really well done. Obviously, this film is very practical from all the action sequences with the guns. Everything's on location. Um, Shooting in LA. I know you love LA movies, so I'm sure that aspect of the film is another reason why you really like the film as well. But just amazing. There's not really any major plot points that we haven't already mentioned or that people probably don't already know. But is there any other maybe facts or things that you liked about it that we haven't touched on too much yet?
None that really come to mind. I really wish I had the director commentary on when I watched this time, just to get a glimpse of like what he was thinking of when he was setting up this movie.
Yeah, I think on my next watch, I'll try to do that. I've only actually ever watched two like audio director commentaries before, but I think this would be a good one on because I feel like there's a lot to dissect here.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Heat. If there's some reason you haven't seen this, I recommend it. Even if you haven't seen any Michael Mann films before, I think you can jump right into this one. I mean, this one is kind of regarded as his best, but I think it's very accessible to a lot of people. I feel like it's easy to digest. I know the runtime is intimidating, but I think you kind of mentioned this earlier. I think it flows phenomenal. Like it just for me there's no really down points in it. I think it just works really well. I feel like there's no wasted storylines, there's no wasted time, no wasted movements. It is on Prime. If you guys have that streamer, it's very easy to watch on there. Obviously, you can get the physical media, which we advocate for. Funny enough, this was actually my first 4K I ever bought. Back when I bought my TV for my basement, and you know, this film was kind of in a way, in the terms of physical media, the one that got me really obsessed into collecting on like a big scale. Obviously, I would get movies a little bit back then, but this was the one 3 years ago that really like kind of unlocked that door for me. So this film has a really special place in my heart, and I had a great time rewatching it last night. I stayed up really late watching it, but it was a good film.
Definitely watch this at night.
Yeah. But yeah, we have to close out the episode today. We have kind of two games, I guess you want to say. Jathan, do you want to start with one in particular? It doesn't matter to me at all. I don't know if you want to start with the one that you recommended or
Could we start
what
with
I have
Jeopardy?
planned.
But
We've done Jeopardy on our channel before. I think we did it back on our Christmas special episode. We did like a Christmas themed Jeopardy. Obviously, everybody knows the game. Um, if you go to guess the question and you guess it wrong, you get those points subtracted from you. Obviously, if you get it right, you get it added. Um, we don't have to do like what is or who is. You don't have to say all craziness. I'll let you pick the first question, Jathan. If you get the question right, you get to pick the next category. If you get it wrong or I get it right, we're gonna go that way. So who gets to pick the next one? I will say I did look at one of the questions. It was same person, different movie. 300. I don't know the answer to it, but I did see the question. I haven't looked at any of these other questions though, so I didn't want to obviously cheat. I want to be doing this in real time. So these questions they could be really easy or really hard. I don't know. I didn't really overlook it, but I think pretty much all of them you either had to guess the actor or the movie. But Jathan, you get the first pick. Which category do you want to do and what question?
I'll do the left column, which is blocked by my webcam. We'll do Seen It for 100.
Okay. And then we'll read the whole question first and then just buzz in for your answer if you want to answer it. Same for me. I'm not gonna like I'll read it all first, and if I know it, I'll buzz in. I'm not gonna like skip and cheat.
All right.
All right, Seen It 100. Okay, so it is don't cross the streams. It would be bad.
This is from
So
Ghostbusters.
I'm guessing. Oh, it is. Ghostbusters 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Space? Yeah. Go. When's the last time you watched Ghostbusters?
Not since I was like 9.
Jesus Christ! And you remember that?
Well, that's like the whole thing with the. That's how they defeat the demon at the end. But
Oh man, I watched that movie not that long ago, and I there's no way in hell I would have got that. What do I? Okay. Yep. So you get to pick the next one.
same person, different movie, 300.
Okay. Ocean's 11, Deadpool 2.
Um,
Brad Pitt. I just did it.
oh, I thought it was mine. So I'll give it to you.
Well, you get to pick the No, you get to pick the category, but we both are fighting for the answer.
Oh, okay. So it's more like Family Feud
Yeah.
style. Okay.
Well, it's how Jeopardy is. Once they read it, it's free for
I
all.
didn't know that.
You have to buzz in, obviously. Yeah. So once I read it, do like a noise or say I want to answer. Like do something
just
and
gonna
then
say the
then
answer.
reveal your answer. Well, buzz in because I have to read it. That's what I'm saying. We have to try to do some.
I'm not gonna make a
Similar
er
timing.
noise.
Then just say answer. Say I want to answer.
Okay.
Just because the timing's off. Obviously, I'm kind of hosting this and playing. If we had a host, it would be
Right.
easier. But yeah, Brad Pitt. Yeah, so I will say that is the one I did see on the preview too. I didn't see the answer, but I knew it was Oceans and Deadpool. All right, so I get to pick the category next. I'm gonna do IMDb for 100. Christian Bale, Heath Ledger.
I'm gonna go with The Dark Knight.
Yeah. 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 All right, so yeah, back over to you.
Cult classic, explained vaguely, 500.
Jesus. All right. And remember, if you get it wrong, you get the points subtracted. So, in this cult classic, actors portray soldiers and end
I want to
up
answer.
actually having to fight.
What is Tropic Thunder?
I'll let you answer, but I said, can you please let me finish the question, buzz in, and then answer?
I guess that's not fair to you because you have to read it out.
Yeah, and for the sake of the video too. But so you said, what is Tropic Thunder? I'll give it to you. I'll let you have it. But going forward, Tropic Thunder. Correct, yeah. I don't think I would have got that one anyway, if I'm being honest. But yes, let me read the whole thing, buzz in, and then you can say your answer.
Hey, to be fair, you did know the 300 question. So...
No, I know. I knew what the question was. I didn't know if the answer was 100% correct. But yeah. Back over to you. You get to pick.
IMDb 500.
Okay. Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson. I'm going to go Wedding Crashers. They've been in a lot, but I'm going to go Wedding Crashers. Yeah, okay. They've been in too many films, though. I feel like I just went with the most popular, but... All right. So, score 800, Nick, 700, Jathan, still anybody's game. I'm going to go animated category for 100. Mike Wazowski, James P.
I want to
Sullivan.
answer. What is Monsters, Inc.?
Yep. Okay, so, tied up. Back to you, Jathan, to pick.
Animated 500.
We got Edna E Mode, Jack Syndrome.
Okay, go for it.
See, it's unfair. Obviously, The Incredibles. I mean, that was easy, but this is the only difficult thing because we don't have like a third person to do.
I also feel like that wasn't a 500 level question.
No, maybe. I know we've already done multiple levels. Do you think maybe we should do? Whoever picks the question gets to try to answer it first. And if you get it wrong, obviously the other person can steal it.
I like that system
instead of trying
more.
to do... Yeah, because it's hard to like... So, since I just picked that one... Oh, did you pick that one? Did you pick the 500
I picked
one?
it.
Or did I pick that one?
So that technically
Right,
should have been my answer, but we'll continue this Mickey Mouse orama.
Dude, I'm trying to do this the best we can. It's hard to host Jeopardy and play at the same time. I'll do same person, different movie. So this is my question. I get to try to answer first. If I get it wrong or I don't know the answer, obviously you can steal it for the points. And then next round you'll get to do it.
Correct.
So, all right, hardball and speed. Okay, this is who is Keanu Reeves? Yeah. Okay. So now you get to pick. This is your category. I can't answer unless you don't answer.
Seen It 500.
Okay. I'm going to read it out just for the sake of a video, but I'm not participating. And in the morning, I'm making waffles.
This is going to be out there, but what is Pee Wee Herman?
Okay. I want to steal it because I know it's not that.
I know
for a fact it's not that. No, I do. Say it is Pee Wee Herman, and I reveal it, and I say what I say.
You can have your
you
answer,
right.
and then we can reveal it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. I'm saying Shrek. So.
Okay.
I knew it was Shrek. That's Donkey. I thought you would have.
That was too vague.
I can't believe you got the Ghostbuster. The Ghostbuster one was crazy. That was a crazy pull.
I digress. But your pick.
Yeah, cult classic. For 100. I'll read it out. The cult classic features a swashbuckling captain who finds himself in the deepest of problems, spanning 4 decent movies. I'm not gonna guess this one. If you want to
I'm
steal
gonna
it, you can steal it.
steal.
I don't
I'm
want
gonna
to lose the
say,
points.
what is Pirates of the Caribbean?
That's what I was thinking about. Cult classic. How the fuck is that a cult classic?
Yeah, I don't.
Cult classic is like
Maybe people
that's a
today
weird.
like aren't really as familiar with Pirates of the Caribbean, but I think those are blockbusters at the time. So
Yeah, those are crazy. Yeah, that's what I thought it was, but I didn't know if they were getting tricky. I didn't want to lose the points. But Jathan, your pick, your category.
I'm gonna go with IMDb 400.
Okay. We have Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, and Don Cheadle.
I'm gonna go with what is the Avengers? Age of Ultron.
I'm not gonna steal this one, or I'm not gonna offer another answer because I'm not sure. But Avengers: Age of Ultron, you said?
Yes. Don Cheadle is not in the Avengers.
Yeah, I don't think he is. But is he in Age of Ultron?
Yes.
Is he? If he is, I'll give it to you. I don't think he is. I don't think he's in that one either. If he is, I'll definitely give it to you. If he's not,
That's a stretch.
what do you mean?
Because okay, he is in Age of Ultron, but regardless, like the Avengers
Yeah.
was right on the nose.
Yeah. But I'm giving that to you because he's not in the Avengers.
No.
Is he? The first one? No, I didn't
They
think
did
so.
cast him, but he's just not in the movie. Because
Yeah,
in Iron
but
Man 2,
that's correct.
they
for you.
cast him, and that's before Avengers.
Yeah. I thought they were gonna get tricky there. I thought they were gonna say Iron Man 2. That's why I didn't want to do it. But all right, back to me. I'm gonna go animated for 200. We have Mr. Potato Head, Rex, and Ham. Toy Story. Yeah, that's pretty easy. All right, back to Jathan.
I'm going to go with Scene at 400.
All right. We have Remember, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except the herpes.
What is The Hangover?
Yep, correct. At first I was thinking Casino, but I'm like, nobody has said that in Casino. I'm gonna go same person, different movie. Wanted and Salt. This would be Angelina Jolie. Yeah. I don't really like either of those movies, but I'm a big fan of her.
IMDb 300.
All right, let's see what we got. We got, oh my God, Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt. Are you fucking kidding
7.
me?
Bang.
I should have picked that one. But yeah, so update on the score. It's Nick 2300 to Jathan 2000. And once again, if you guess and get the question wrong, you get points subtracted. But I'm gonna go. Let me go cult classic 300. I'm gonna see what we got here. In this cult classic, this guy tries to kill one lady but ends up killing everybody but her, spanning 35 years in a plethora of films. Jesus Christ! Wait. Wait a second. If I don't guess it, obviously you can steal it. But give me like 2 seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4. Answer.
I'm not gonna answer. I don't know. I don't want to risk the points. Nothing's.
What
coming
is
out.
Halloween?
Oh my God. I wasn't even. Yep. I wasn't even thinking that.
Bang.
The cult classic thing is mixing me up, dude. Because these are not cult classics. But back over to you.
I'm on a heater over there. I'm going to go cult classic 400.
Yep. In this cult classic, white people thought it would be a good idea to resurrect dinosaurs and hold them on an island span 7 movies. Are you fucking
What is
kidding me?
Jurassic Park?
Yeah, talk about a fucking layup. What are these cult classics? Are you kidding me, dude? All right, let me play to my strengths. Same person, different movie for 500. Training Day, Equalizer, Denzel, bang, give me that money. Well, sorry, I added the points first, but I knew it was Denzel. I didn't mean to do that. All right, back over to
Cult
you.
classic 200.
Yeah, finish this category. I'm done with this over here. In this cult classic, this one guy saves the world with a whip, and they found a way to monetize it.
Do you want to answer this?
I'll give you some more time. You gave me some time.
I'll let you
But
steal.
if not, I am going to answer it. What is Indiana Jones? Yeah. The whip, dude. That was the easiest way to figure it out. And I don't really like Indiana Jones. Let me go same person, different movie, 400. Blade, White Men Can't Jump. This would be Wesley Snipes. Easy. All right. Back over to Jathan.
Animated for 400.
5 categories left. Carl
What is
Fredrickson.
Chill. Chill on the last name.
I know. Yeah. I think I would have maybe got that. I would have been thrown off though. I never thought of Carl's last name in the movie. Do they say that in the?
I've
do they say his
never
last
heard
name in
that.
the movie? Yeah, I don't remember that. Let's go animated 300. Lightning McQueen Tomater. Cars. Yeah.
You didn't answer it.
Yeah. I said
You
Cars. I
revealed the
literally just said
answer
Cars.
before. I'll
I said
give
Cars
it,
as I
but
pressed
I'm
space.
watching you.
Okay, when we run the tape back, I literally said Cars and hit space at the same time. As I wouldn't know what Lightning McQueen and Tomato are.
Seen it 300.
Okay. My Precious.
What is Lord of the Rings?
Yep. All right, I'm gonna go IMDb 200. See, we got Tommy Lee Jones, Harrison Ford. Interesting. Oh my God, this should be harder, but I think I'm gonna answer it for the sake of the video, but I could be wrong. I'm gonna go The Fugitive. But they've been in a couple movies together. But I'm gonna go The Fugitive.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. They've been in a few things, so I was worried. But I think The Fugitive is the most popular between them.
Seen it 200, even though you have already won.
Yeah, but I mean, funny. Like I'm a clown. Like I amuse.
I'm gonna go with Goodfellas.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's hard to do the Jeopardy with 3 people. Like if we had somebody that could host and we could play it for real, it'd be better. But I'm gonna say we both won because I think we both knocked this out. How many? Like we didn't really miss much. I don't know if you missed a question. Well, you passed on one, but I don't think you got any wrong.
I don't know. I don't need a participation medal.
I don't think so.
You got it.
Yeah, but I should have thought this out better. It's hard to do this with 2 people. Mm-hmm. It would be nicer if we had somebody like read the questions and we could compete back and forth. But I feel like this one was pretty easy. Like I said, I didn't overlook it, but the only one that really tripped me was the Ghostbusters. I don't know how the fuck you pulled that out of thin air. The Ghostbusters one was crazy.
That's so memorable to me.
It must be. You're saying you only watched it when... Well, you said the last time you watched it, you're probably like 9 years old. But, yeah. Yeah, I love Jeopardy. Little fun Jeopardy game. But the second one is what Jathan recommended for the video. I think I've played these before. This is Guess the Movie by the Scene. We're going to be competing against each other. We'll try to both keep a tally of our own. Who says it first? Yeah, pretty straightforward. Let's get into it. Okay, first scene. Last Night in Soho.
White Neck.
I don't know. Have you seen that?
Alita Battle Angel.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I haven't seen this yet.
Aladdin.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I was just thinking Jasmine the whole time.
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible 1.
I'll give it to you.
That was me. Yeah. All right.
Dune Part 1.
Dune Part 2. Part 2.
I think you're right.
I am right.
7. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, I'm not gonna guess. You got that. That just taking me too long.
All right.
I think I got 39.
39. I was at 33. Shout out Larry Bird.
Yeah. You want to do one more? This little 8-minute one? Might as well. I'm in the flow. Try to mark how many I get right. Let's see what happens here.
Grease. No. Yeah, Grease.
You're right.
Fuck it.
You're right. I haven't seen it yet. Passenger.
Is that the
Still,
Chris
I haven't
Pratt,
seen this either.
Jennifer
Yep.
Lawrence? Couldn't tell you.
Oh, it's gonna piss me off. Yeah. Day after tomorrow.
Yeah. Haven't even seen it. Just know from the poster.
Yeah, it's not that good. Friends with Benefits, one of my favorite rom-coms.
Justin Timberlake.
He's great in it. Midnight in Paris.
I almost bought that at the store that I went to get the Heat copy.
Ooh. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Don't you ever think you're gonna beat me on Harry Potter. Tron, the first one. The original.
What was your
All right,
score?
I got 40.
40 out of 50?
40.
You get a B minus. Jathan, you get an F.
Let's redeem. Let's go 3. Let's do it again.
I'm waving the white flag. You sweet me.
Yeah.
2 out of 3.
All right. Yeah.
We'll definitely run that back.
Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, that's all we got for episode 26. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I think it was a good one. I play those games a lot at work. Like if we have a little downtime, we'll throw that on and we'll always do that. But yeah, that's all I got. You got anything to sign us off?
I can't wait to see Godzilla -1 in IMAX. I want to bring that up at the start, but just crossed my mind again in preparation for -0, which is being filmed in IMAX, which is, I think, the first Japanese film to do so. So can't wait. Absolutely thrilled.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I got for episode 26.
Catch you guys.